Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Fresh Off the Set. I'm Laura Murray.
And I am Kari Hawker-Diaz. Thank you so much for listening to another episode. Great to see everyone at home. I'm just picturing you listening because this one's a little different. We haven't done these yet before.
I am really excited because today we are getting to know our very own Kari Hawker-Diaz just a little bit better, just a smidge better. So you are being interviewed, Kari. How does that feel?
Here we go. I'm answering anything and everything.
And this is like exciting for me because when I started the show, I leaned on you so much, Kari, to give me, interviewing tips and things like that. So now I'm putting your advice to the test by interviewing you.
Oh, you're so nice. You're doing awesome. It's so crazy because you and I actually met on the show. But yes. I feel like we've known each other for years.
It feels like every once in a while you bump into someone that you just click with. Mm-hmm. And that was you and I, Kari.
Mm-hmm. We've been friends for years and just didn't know it.
I keep forgetting. Well, speaking of that, some of the hosts on the show, getting to know you a little bit better, you knew before the show. In fact, when you met David, this is a really interesting story. So talk to us about this.
So David and I knew each other, I want to say maybe 15 years ago, like 2006, 7. Mm-hmm. Gosh, is that 15 years? 2007 era. I was dating somebody else. And then David was married already to his beautiful wife, Valerie. And we went on a double date. And it was so fun to get to know them. And so David and I have been friends for that long, on and off, just through a double date, through somebody I dated in the past. So
I love it.
If that was the good thing that came out of dating that guy, that I got to meet David early, then great. Because that was not a good relationship. So at least there was that.
And you're being honest, I think we've all had those where you look back and you're like, did I date that person?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I learned something from it.
Yeah. That was my entire 20s. You just described my entire 20s. I had to date all the red flags, all of, it's just funny to me because I got that all out of the way before I met my now husband, Nick, and we were married. And so I got that out of the way in my 20s, which is a good thing.
And Nick is absolutely awesome. We love him. You know what? You two are like this power couple. You are both absolutely wonderful.
Oh, you're so nice. Thank you. I'm very, very lucky to have him in my life. We will be married 10 years this year, which is crazy.
That's
June.
A decade, Kari. You've been married for a decade.
That's really weird. And we've dated for 3 years before that. So so it's funny story. Nick and I knew each other. We met in an acting class. Uh-huh. I was 22, he was 21. I was married at the time to somebody else. Uh-huh. And we stayed friends throughout. I got divorced when I was 24. And Nick and I dated a little bit. And then he moved away, went to an acting school in California. And then we ran into each other on a movie set in about 2009 and started dating and kind of never looked back. So our journey wasn't quite... We weren't ready for each other until, 2009, I would say.
You and I have a very similar story, Kari. And I am grinning just ear to ear. I know you guys can't see my grin, but I am grinning because that is such a precious story. And you mentioned acting. We've talked about acting a little bit on the podcast before with you. How did you get into acting, Kari? When did that start? Have you always loved doing that?
So my sister and I growing up, we always danced. So I was on drill team. My sister was a cheerleader. We danced since we were like 3 or 4 years old. We were always on stage performing. And then we were in plays here and there.
Same girl, same.
And, just always had that bug for it that they say, Mm-hmm. But I didn't actually start taking acting classes until after I went to hair school. So I have my cosmetology license, and I still cut my husband's hair. In fact, I gave him a haircut last night. I still do a little bit, but I never really practiced much with my license.
Yeah.
And right towards the end, when I was graduating, I started taking some acting classes from a friend of mine, and I just fell in love with it. Yeah. And I got an agent. My first role that I booked actually was in a movie called The Crow 4. And I was so excited because there were some big names in there. Danny Trejo was in there from Con Air. You know Danny. Tara Reid, Tito Ortiz, David Boreanaz. So it was just a good cast. And I had this part.
You were just over the moon excited.
I was so excited because this was my first part. And I was hired to be a pregnant bride in this scene. And
that's a very specific role.
it was very specific. And there was like a fight scene. So we had choreographed all of the, we mapped out the scene, we choreographed everything, I rehearsed. And then the day before I was to film my scene, they cut the part. And that happens a lot. It happens a lot. So I learned early on that this kind of how the business goes. And I ended up signing with an agency after that. And so I started in movies and commercials. That was kind of my first introduction into this industry when I was 20. And I love movies. I do miss working on movie sets. I feel very at home on movie sets.
And you've been on some pretty epic movie sets. I'm just saying.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I have. Yeah, I've been very fortunate. I've been very fortunate.
Ocean's 13, is that the one you were on?
Yeah. So I spent a couple summers in LA with my best friend Natalie, and we were both auditioning for different things. And I had lines in movies and things. So kind of once you establish that, you like to continue to have lines in movies, but they were looking for extras, which you're still in it. You're still in the movie. You're just kind of background and whatever they need. They were hiring extras for Ocean's 13. And I thought, this would be a really cool project to be a part of if I could get on this set to be able to sit back and watch everyone work and see how it all goes.
I mean, you've got Brad Pitt, you've got George Clooney, you've got Matt Damon. Like, that is a star-studded cast, and you have Kari Hawker-Diaz.
Well, yeah, right. Little Kari Hawker-Diaz, but I ended up booking it. And I filmed for two and a half weeks, I think, in LA. So the set was on the Burbank lot in California. And if you've seen Ocean's 13, there's a bunch of casino scenes. And they built the casino on a set, so the earthquake that happens in there, they could rig it. So they had control of it.
Right.
And so every morning, I feel like it was like 5 a.m., maybe 4 a.m., we would park in a parking lot far away from the set, and we would all get on a bus, and they would bus us over to Burbank Studios, and then they had a big warehouse that they would have the extras hanging out in. And sometimes, well, it depends on the budget, but the budget's pretty good for Ocean's 13, right? So,
I mean, the names that are in it, I would assume, and if they're making their own earthquakes, I'm thinking the budget was pretty big.
It's pretty big. So they were able to dress us even. So what we were in was like high-end dresses, like gowns for the casino scene.
Fancy.
And so they dressed us head to toe, jewelry, everything. And then we had like our own lockers, I remember, so we could leave everything when we went home. But when you're an extra, just being on a movie set period is just a long day because it could be 12, 14-hour days, and it's just a lot of waiting around.
Oh, geez. Hurry up and wait. That's the name of the game, I've heard.
Yeah. So we were on the set with all of these casino tables, right? Blackjack tables, and they were all real. And so we had so much downtime. So all the extras, we would just kind of gamble and play around and learn and have fun. And my scene, I was lucky enough to be put right in there was a smaller scene with Brad Pitt and George Clooney and a girlfriend and I that I met there. And if you blink, you'll miss me, but I am in the scene right before the earthquake starts. Right. George Clooney is talking to somebody and I'm behind him in a silver dress. And
all right, everyone, you heard it. In that scene, she's behind George Clooney in a silver dress. Don't blink. Pause.
We couldn't take pictures. We weren't allowed to bring our phones on set. Brad Pitt, it was right around the time when he and Angelina Jolie, all that was coming out. And so he was very quiet, kind of kept to himself. And we were told that you weren't allowed to approach anybody on set. We weren't allowed to approach George, or Al Pacino was on set. But if they talked to you, you could talk to them. And George Clooney was hilarious and exactly what you think. He was playing jokes on everyone. And it was one of my most favorite memories of being on a set. It was a really cool set to see how it all works.
I love that. What was the thing you think you learned the most from being on that set?
Ooh, kind of that anything is possible. I never thought that I would be involved in such a big project. And even though I just had a tiny, I didn't have any lines or anything, I'm in it barely. It was really cool to think, wow, I was on that set with all those A-list actors and part of something big. So it was really cool.
I always
believe in yourself, kids.
I always joke with you, Kari, that one day I'm going to be home in my PJs watching the TV, watching Kari Hawker-Diaz walk down the red carpet because she's nominated for an Oscar.
That's nice.
And I will be sitting on the couch, like I said, in my sweats, in a matching set. I'll make sure they're cute.
I doubt that. I
Eating
doubt
snacks.
Well, and I'm not doubting that you would be cute. I'm saying I doubt that I will be doing that, but that would be a cool thing. That would be very cool.
Know. Like you just said, believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Kari, how did you get into what you're doing now? Because you were an actress, you did hair, you're a makeup artist. How did you end up here on Fresh Living?
I kept doing movies and commercials, and then I started doing a little bit of hosting. My agent would book me on just one day things here and there. And I before that I did a Hallmark movie called Christmas Angel.
Yes, you did.
It's really cute and really cheesy, but it's on Hallmark, and you can see it every Christmas. And I was really proud of that. That was my biggest role so far. And right after that, I started doing hosting, and so I would do little bookings here and there. And then I booked a show on a different station. It was like a home remodeling show, and that was my first kind of big hosting role. And then actually Kent Crawford, our general manager of this station, after that show ended, he called my agency and said, hey, we're looking for a Ford girl for Fresh Living. Let's have Kari come audition and let's have her see how it works. And so before I was even ever a host on Fresh Living, this is back in the days with previous hosts, I would bring a Ford truck or a Ford car or whatever on Fresh Living just for a segment, and I would show off the car and then go home. So I would maybe do 1 or 2 of those a month.
Yeah.
And then slowly I'm trying to think I think Kent had me sit down and see if I would be interested in working here part-time. And then I did Friday Night Rivals, which is our high school football.
Love it.
Had no idea what I was doing. Not any idea.
She's just keeping it real, people. That is one thing to know about Kari. It's always real.
I will keep it real. Sometimes in life, you just figure it out. You just, you just do it and you'll figure it out. And I was texting my husband during the game during high school football, and I would say, okay, and he'd watch from home and he'd go, okay, you should ask this. He would help me figure out what questions I was asking the players and the coaches. Anyway, so part-time, and then moved to full-time at the station. I've been here 10 years this year.
Just as long as you've been married.
Yeah.
A decade.
Years. Yeah.
That's amazing, Kari.
I'm trying to think how long I've been on Fresh Living. It was 2017. I started on the show right after I had Amelia, my baby.
I love that. Okay, so speaking of Amelia, she is your pride and joy. Amelia, I joke with you about this too, but it's not really a joke. I'm serious. I truly believe Amelia is going to change the world because I have never met a little girl that is more confident, more passionate, just has such a joy for life than your little Amelia.
She is so much cooler than I will ever be. She is I look at her, she's 6 now. She just turned 6. And she is empathetic. She is smart. She is hilarious. She has so much energy. She is so entertaining. She's just that person that has what you'd say the it factor. She's just somebody that you're drawn to, that anyone who has a conversation with her just falls in love with her. And she's sassy. She will tell you how she feels. The other day when she turned 6, my dad had said to her, Amelia, you can actually say now if someone asks you that you're 6 as of today, you're a 6-year-old. And she said, well, is it any of their business?
See, Amelia, I always say, I'm like, well, she's my best friend because
she loves you.
She sends me makeup videos. She sends me videos. I was sick several weeks ago, and she sent me a video wanting to know my symptoms.
Yep.
You guys cannot see, but I'm currently wearing a Snuggie that Amelia chose for me for Christmas. She is someone who is truly so amazing. So what advice?
Thank you.
There are so many moms out there who are trying to juggle it all, and you have this beautiful little girl. You do so amazing at your job. How do you do it, Kari?
Oh my gosh, that's so nice. I don't feel like I do it well every day. And I think the key to trying to juggle it all is know that you're not going to always succeed juggling it. And some days I'll get home and I'm thinking, okay, I have this great plan and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And then the night gets away from us and she misbehaves or does something. And then the end of the night, we're putting her to bed. And then I go sit on the couch and I just cry. thinking, wow, I wasn't present with her. I was on my phone. I disciplined her maybe a little bit harder than I should have. And that guilt is so real. But I think and 6 years into this now with her, I think forgiving yourself and knowing that tomorrow is a different day and tomorrow is new, and you're literally just doing the best that you can. And none of us know exactly how to parent perfectly. And if you're keeping them alive, you're doing a great job. And tomorrow's a new day.
I think that's beautiful advice, even if you don't have kids, is you're doing the best you can, and tomorrow is a new day. And speaking of that, we actually have a podcast that you guys can check out after you listen to this one. You opened up a little bit after your depression after having Amelia.
Yeah, I had never really experienced depression until mainly after I had Amelia. And it was postpartum, absolutely. And I fell into this deep hole of, what am I doing? And who am I? And the best way I can describe depression for me is I knew in my mind that I was blessed with a healthy child, an amazing job, great friends, amazing family members, but I couldn't feel it. I wasn't feeling it. And everything seemed like it was in black and white. Mm-hmm. And there were times when I thought, is there a way out of this? I didn't know, because it's hard to know where to turn.
It absolutely is.
And there is a way. And what I did is I just started talking with people, because I think it feels better to know you're not alone in a way. Mm-hmm. And we don't talk about these kind of things enough, in my opinion. So I try to talk about it more often and know that you aren't alone. And there are so many resources out there to help you, whether it's therapy, whether it's medication, whether it's change in lifestyle and exercising. And there's so many answers. And I dive into that a lot in our depression podcast.
Yes.
And so definitely check that out.
Yeah, it was beautifully done. And I loved how vulnerable and open you were with it, because that is something that so many people needed to hear. And that's the first step, is opening up, talking about it, so people just don't feel so alone.
Thank you.
I think one of the greatest things we can do in this life is to let people know that they are not alone.
Yeah.
And that they are loved.
It's hard. Life is hard, whether you're a parent, whether you're just single dating, whether you're, an empty nester, whether it's hard. So let's do it together and share our struggles, because it feels better when you're kind of flying that, like I think of like a flock of birds. Mm-hmm. When you're flying together, you can do more.
I think that's beautiful. And Kari, you have this, for those who have come on the show, who have met you, those who are just listening to this and know you, or those who are listening and feel like they know you, you have a natural confidence about you. You're confident. You do things so well. What advice would you give to someone who is probably, wondering, how do I get that confidence? Where does she get that from? What do I do to get that? Mm-hmm. And I know that's a heavy question, but that's something that people see you and they're like, look at what she has. Mm-hmm. That is just this elegant type of confidence. How does someone get that?
That's so nice of you. And that's not every day, trust me. And I grew up not very confident. I grew up being bullied. I grew up not feeling great about myself. That's why I got married in the first place when I was 20.
I was going to say, who bullied you? Because I want to have a word with them.
There were a few, but I've moved past that in therapy. I highly suggest it. But it's not, thank you. That's not that way every day. And I think the key to how I got away from that is just life's experiences. I've made some really bad choices. My first marriage, bad choice. I learned from that. So I think life's experiences will help you build confidence in yourself. And also knowing that a lot of us do this in our minds. We tell us these stories all the time that we're not good enough, that we're, like, why me, why that? And those are all lies. So if you can get out of your head and know that those thoughts will happen probably just anyways, but know that they're not true. Because it's sometimes a daily battle to feel that confidence.
I don't know why I'm over here getting so emotional.
Oh.
Because those thoughts are liars. That's anxiety talking. Mm-hmm. And I think that is absolutely beautiful advice, Kari. This has been one of the most fun podcasts I have had.
If you watch our bloopers on Fresh Living, you can see how not normal I am.
We
It's fun.
love you for it, Kari. I'm
Thank
right
you.
there with you with our TikToks. We happen to think we're hilarious with our TikToks. And sometimes, I'm sure those of you out there who are content creators come across this. You work so hard on a TikTok and you're like, yeah, that one's hilarious. Then maybe like 3 people watch it. And Kari and I are like, well, we thought that was some of our funnest work.
But you know what? You should check out our TikTok page because we do think we're funny and maybe you will too.
Yep. There you go. All right, Kari, you know how this works. The
Okay.
Fresh 5 at the end of the podcast where
Okay, I'm
I
ready.
ask you a random 5 questions. All right, number 1, what motivates you?
Oh, my daughter. My daughter, absolutely. My daughter motivates everything I do. Yeah, my little girl.
Sweet Amelia. She is such a rock star. One of my favorite videos of her ever is when she was running around saying she was the queen.
Yep.
I hope she has that confidence forever and always.
I hope to foster that for her too. I hope she does too. Yeah.
All right, number 2, if you could live in any TV show or movie, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. Like be on it? Be on the show?
No, you're like living in it. So you're not even a character. It's like that whole world, you are part of it. You're living in it. And I'll let you choose a TV show or a movie, one or the other.
You know what? I have to go with Goonies.
That's a very stressful situation.
I literally thought I was a Goonie when I was a kid. That was my favorite movie, and I wanted to treasure hunt and I wanted to find pirate ships. So that's what I would live.
I love
right
it.
now.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. You had to mention pirates. Johnny Depp is your crush, and I know how you feel about Jack Sparrow.
Yep.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Any superpower. Oh my gosh. I would. Is time jumping a thing? A
I feel
superpower?
like, yeah, that controlling time, I think that's cool.
Okay. I would time jump. I would go back to times and places that I miss. I would time jump.
I love that. Okay, so what is a talent that you wish you had? And this is going to be hard for you.
I wish I could sing. I love singing and I do it not well, but I wish I could sing.
I was going to say, you sang today, and our producer made it a point to talk to you in your
She
IFB
did.
and
She
tell you
ma-
it was good.
She made me feel really well. So Mackenzie, thank you so much for making me feel kind of talented in singing. But I wish I could sing. I think I look at people that are on stage singing and they blow me away. Wish I could sing.
And so that brings me to my next question, which I'm pretty sure I know the answer to, but for our audience, what is your favorite song that you could listen to over and over again? Should we say it together on the count of 3?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Purple Rain.
Prince, Purple Rain. Not the lightest of the genres, but Prince is that's my go-to. Good
I
job.
knew it.
You
I
that.
knew it. Now everyone else knows it too. Well, Kari, this was so much fun chatting with you. And everyone, thank you so much for listening. You know more about Kari now. Make sure to follow along, rate, and subscribe, and we will catch you next time.
Congrats, you made it to the end. If you want to continue to freshen up your day, you can watch us on Fresh Living every weekday on CBS Channel 2 in Utah at 1 o'clock. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel, KUTV Fresh Living, and follow us on social media. We will see you